Here's the latest pickup. This is a Powermatic 30A. It's a 12-inch disc sander with a 6x48 belt sander. And the 30A was a model that is just like the 30, except on the inside it's got dust collection. From what I gather, the dust collection leaves a bit to be desired, but I'll be interested to find out. This one is actually going to be for my own shop. I don't have a quality stationary sander like this, so really looking forward to getting this up and going. I'm not going to do a full restoration on this since it's for me, so this should be a fun project. Look forward to documenting it and seeing what we find here. Okay, so we're going to start with something easy. This is definitely not the right knob. This is a replacement. Looks like it came from some Delta small joiner or something from maybe like the 50s, maybe even a Craftsman, who knows. But you can tell this isn't the right thing. There's a spot for a crank handle here. This is way too big of a knob for this spot. There would have been a knob, either that would have been like a knurled metal one or one of the white plastic ones that went on this era of Powermatic machinery. So you can get these little metal ones from McMaster Carr. I have a stash of these for machines since they're so common. So I'm going to take this off and put this on. There's just a little Allen head set screw that we'll put that on with and take that one off with. So this is just a simple little set screw, off and on, very easy, simple replacement there. And now I'm just taking the belt cover off. There's some threaded studs that connect to the sort of the frame of the belt sander, and then this cover has some holes for those threaded studs to go through, and then just some nuts to clamp it in place. I may replace those with some wing nuts or some knobs to make that easier to do, but at this point it works just fine. And so now I'm just going to, those are the threaded studs I was talking about there, just seeing if those were loose or not. And now I'm just using the adjustment knobs. There's two adjustment knobs for the belt sander. One adjusts the distance between the two drums, and the other adjusts the angle of that top drum to make sure it tracks properly. And so now I'm just working the belt off there. I'm adjusting the one that angles the upper drum to get this belt off more easily. And now I'll check out the platen. Okay, so I got the belt off, and now I really want to check this platen and make sure it's flat, so I'll get a straight edge here and see. It feels good. I don't feel any dips, maybe a little bit right there. So we'll just have to see, but overall I'm pretty pleased so far. These spin pretty good, and it doesn't look like there's any inordinate wear. You can see the belts have worn through here some, and then classic on this belt cover, you can see there it's worn through a little bit, but all in all it's better than a lot of school equipment that I've seen, so I think we'll be alright. And now we're just removing the table that is on the disc sander portion. It's just two Allen head bolts that are coming off, and we'll just get this all cleaned up. And this table can also be used on the belt portion, although not in all positions. The belt portion can be held in a vertical and horizontal position. In some positions the table's in the way. Okay, so I took the table off of the disc area, and the design of this is pretty ingenious. This one table can also connect to the belt sander if you so desire. This goes right up there. The holes line up with the holes there, and you can put it on the belt if you desire as well. So I'm going to clean this all up and get it as good as new. So I got the motor out. It was a 3-phase ball door, 3/4 horse motor, 1725 RPM, and so I found one that's new. It's not an American made motor, but it's 1725 RPM, 3/4 horse, dual voltage, totally enclosed, fan cooled, and it also has thermal protection on the motor itself, which I'm pretty psyched about. So I'm getting this wired up, and I'll install it, and we'll go from there. Alright, so the Powermatic 30A belt sander's coming along pretty good. I got the tabletop all cleaned up, all the parts cleaned up, a little bit of touch up here and there where there's some really bad spots as far as the appearance goes. Picked this up at an online school auction. And the platen's in good shape. There's a little bit of dip right there that you can see, tiny bit, but the rest is good. I've looked with a straight edge, and I think I'm going to get a graphite cloth to put over the platen to reduce the friction a little bit, and that way there's a wear part there that can be replaced more easily than resurfacing the cast iron platen. It's got a 3-phase motor. The dust collector inside built in, the motor's fried. It's a little, so I think I'm just going to can that and try to set up some dust collection based off of my dust collector that I've got here, and probably get a single-phase motor to replace this 3-phase. So it's coming along. I purchased a 1.5 horsepower motor, 1725 RPM, based on the frame size that the original 3-phase motor had. This is a TEFC, totally enclosed fan-cooled motor, best for sawdusty environments like a sander. This motor also has thermal protection on the motor, which is nice. Here I'm just wiring the leads based on the diagram for 120 volts. It's a dual voltage motor, but I want to put it at 120 so I can use any of the outlets that are 120 in my shop. Alright, so that's as far as I'm going to go right this minute. I've got it all wired up according to the diagram. I just want to get it all in the machine and wired up to the switch, and then make sure it's spinning the right direction. Make sure I've got everything right before I actually cap everything off. Okay, so I've got the motor mounted in here. This is just sort of a mounting plate that pivots up and down. And this side drooped quite a bit when the motor was on there, so I just put a piece of plywood there to level that out nice so the belt's running straight. And so got that all set. I'm going to be wiring things up here. There was a large furnace magnetic starter here, but since I'm switching to single phase 120 volt, it wasn't rated properly, and I had a old furnace manual starter that was rated properly. I just had to drill some different holes to make everything fit properly, and so I'm painting that to match. And out here you can see that I've got the paint going on that there to match the color. It's a Rust-Oleum hammered deep green, or hammered green, dark green, something like that. That's a pretty close match to the color. Alright, so the motor's all wired up, all set in there. And then I've been working on the dust collection. There originally was a internal dust shop vac that hung here. It also ran off of 120 volts. From what I gather, they never really worked that well anyway, so I just took it out. The motor was fried on it anyway, it wasn't doing any good sitting in there. And so there was already a hole cut in this section over here, so I just ran some pipe up there to the junction, and then I've got a line going to the disc sander, and then there'll be another part coming off of the belt sander to this port here, and then there's little blast gates on these as well. So there'll be sort of a control blast gate for each part, and then this dust hose. Just temporarily, what I'm going to do is when I'm using the saw, I'm just going to pop this off of the big bandsaw and just run this hose up through there. I know it's not ideal, but for now I think it'll work okay. It'll be better than nothing. So this has come along well. I've got the starter mounted and wired and did some test runs. The motor's running in the right direction. And then here's the cover of the manual starter, and so the color match is good. But the last thing I'm going to do here today is I'm going to put a graphite cloth platen on top of this cast iron platen. I'm lucky, mine is very flat. There's just one tiny little dip right in this area, which I think is where the table would have mounted, right here. And so if you were sanding where that table mounted, that's probably why there's that tiny dip. In my case, for my purposes here, where I'm not going to be using it heavily, I think it's flat enough for my uses. And so what I'm going to do, just to prevent further dishing out of that cast iron platen, is I'm going to put this graphite cloth on there sort of as a sacrificial platen, and to reduce friction so that I'm not bogging down the motor as much.
I
Attaching the graphite impregnated cloth is fairly simple. I'm just using contact cement, a thin layer on the back of the cloth and on the cast iron platen itself. Some people use spray adhesive or other adhesives for this purpose. My main thing, I wanted to make sure that it is something I can remove if needed to replace or to change my setup or my approach. Alright, we got the graphite platen down. Now we'll just put the belt on. And then we'll get it all tracked properly, put the cover on, and we'll be good to go. This one makes the drum push out so that we're tracking properly, and this one makes some adjustments as well. Let's get this all still loose over here. Okay, so it's tracking straight. It is a little bit noisy. Now that I know the belt is tracking properly, I'm just going to put the belt guard on, and this is two parts. There's two threaded studs that feed through the holes on the guard, and then just some nuts. I may replace those with some wing nuts or some little knobs. And then there's this section of the guard on the end that covers the drum, which can be removed easily if you're doing contour sanding, which is a nice feature. So we'll just do one more test run with the guard on. Everything seems to be tracking well. Just a little piece of wood here to test with. I didn't want to make a lot of dust, so I didn't leave it on there very long, but the motor doesn't bog down at all. Graphite platen stays in place. Everything seems to be working well. And there she is, all functional and running. Got the belt all lined up, all the cover back on. Just some final touches with dust collection. Maybe getting some new belts. But she is running and happy to have it in the shop. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope the video has been helpful for you. Feel free to subscribe using the subscribe link. And if you've benefited from the channel and enjoy what you see here, consider donating by using the PayPal link that's on my banner picture on my YouTube channel homepage. I put out a video per week. Hope they're helpful. Anything else I can do, contact me. Thanks a lot.